Today I'm going to be talking about Seraph Snow, what I like to call the deck of variety. It has the largest amount of viable cards when compared to just about every other deck in Overdress. I'll be showing off 2 Seraph Snow deck lists in this video. We can break down cards in Imprison into 3 separate categories: control, tempo, and value. Cards such as Perio Turquoise, Aqra Rouge, and Hyperspeed Robo Chevalstud fill the role of control cards. These cards are about slowing down the opponent and stopping them from really moving. Remember, imprisoning a unit does 2 things. First, it hurts the opponent's soul and counterblast. Second, it can take away guard from the hand and field. Turquoise is an easy 4 of include in every deck because it actually gives a 3rd value to imprisoning units, by reducing the attack of units called out of prison. You need to see this in matchups like Magnolia, or not a lot gets accomplished when you imprison units. Aqra Rouge and Chevalstud primarily function as additional means for imprisoning units. Tempo means 2 things in this deck. First, keeping up with the requirements for skills with cards like Bizzare Beast Bagumotor and Moment of Capture Aurora Battle Princess 24-hour coverage. Second, it means gaining numbers with cards like Rounded Azalea. Value means plussing. Seraph Snow with her triple drive is the primary example of this. Chevalstud also contributes to this with his free draw. Cards in Seraph Snow often fill multiple roles in this deck. Taking this all together, it means deck building for Seraph Snow is all about balancing these 3 themes. You can't gain value without following tempo, control lets tempo survive to work, and value lets control overwhelm your opponent. This brings us to my build. We run 4 Perio Turquoise for previous stated reasons, as well as its ability to gain 5 attack. We also run 3 Rounded Azalea to gain numbers as well. We only run 2 Aqra Rouge because of both its 2 effects are outclassed by other cards in the deck list. However, its ability to do both the jobs, gaining defensive and offensive numbers, as well as an almost free Imprison, give it enough of a reason to be ran as a filler card. We run 2 Deril Violet on this list. It's one of the best defensive cards in the game and can function as a free PG in most matchups. This card can stop Leonard, this can stop a 40k Orpheus column. This card is fantastic. However, it literally can't do anything against Bastion. When I draw this against Bastion, I recommend using it as discard fodder. This card is fantastic, but its sole focus is on defense, and that's not what the deck needs, so we only run 2. We run 4 24-hour coverage because it both removes a card from the opponent's hand and helps you to meet your card's imprisoning requirements, despite how your opponents play. It's just one of the best engine cards in Prison, and it can give attack as a little bonus. We run 3 Bagumotor because it's necessary to meet the imprisoning requirements for your cards. However, this card can very quickly become useless late game, so it's not worth it to play 4. It's also risky to imprison from drop against certain matchups. Imprisoning units from drop against decks like Magnolia, Barrow Magnus, and even Bruce can give them more fuel to go off. Just be careful with this card and try to imprison orders over anything else. We play 4 Chevalstud because it's a fantastic draw engine. Every turn it can neg your opponent a unit and draw you a card. Continual value is key with this card. While there are cheaper ways to imprison units, Chevalstud gets value for it, making it the best choice for a 4 of engine card. Trigger ratio is the standard 7 crit, 4 front, 4 heal, and 1 over. This gives you strong damage pressure with crits, while also using the new fronts for defensive value. Alright, but what if none of this mattered to you and you really don't care? Well, here's my aggro list for Seraph Snow. Ignore long-term games and embrace face. Use Counterblast to create numbers. Rerun 4 Eclipse Moonlight for numbers. Rerun 3 Twisting Helldrive for numbers. Rerun 4 Azalea for numbers. Rerun 2 Bubble Mine for counterchargers so we can hit numbers. We run 3 Bagumotor because we need it to enable other cards to hit numbers. Rerun 4 Perio Turquoise so we don't die and can hit numbers. Overall, I recommend this deck if you've already bought a Prison deck. Spend like a week playing regular Prison with your friends, then switch to this build without telling anyone and watch the surprise on your friend's face when you're swinging for 48k columns at them in Prison. When they learn to fear and start the counterblast starve you, switch back to regular Prison. Don't tell everyone and win games for free. It's all about the mental in Vanguard. It's also like a collective $2 to change your Seraph Snow to this meme list. I hope you enjoy. Overall, Seraph Snow is definitely one of the best decks in the game, although not quite on top. Seraph Snow decks can hit excellent numbers depending on how the deck is built. Triple Drive is also a fantastic source of pressure, however, it still can't hit the numbers other 3 attack decks can, and being limited to 3 attacks hurts this deck's potential. Overall, I give it a 3 out of 5 on the power scale. It's the best control deck in the format by far, but it can struggle to make its control tools really become oppressive. Imprisoning still hurts a lot of decks and drains resources very well. Overall, a 4 out of 5 on the control scale. This deck has some consistency problems. There's a huge difference in this deck's pressure when cards like Perio, Turquoise, and Bagumotor are seen versus when they are not. You can also draw the Prison, which is just sad. On top of this, it struggles against a lot of matchups and hard wins a lot of matchups. Overall, a 3 out of 5, bordering on a 2 out of 5. This really only a 3 out of 5 because I believe a good player can handle bad matchups really well in this deck. This deck is versatile. You can build it however you want. The support in this deck can tailor any playstyle, being either as aggressive or control-oriented as you want. Even in builds dedicated to one playstyle, the cards still all do different things, allowing you to switch whenever you need to. 5 out of 5 for versatility. Triple Drive and Chevalstud are some of the best draw enablers in the game. Straight up, it's an extra 2 cards a turn compared to your opponent. Throw this on top of the deck ripping cards out of your opponent's hand, the value is strong in this deck, 4 out of 5. Here are your matchups. The best matchups are Nirvana and Draconic Overlord. This is because imprisoning Overdress units puts all the units in the stack into the prison. This makes your opponent neg 1 to 2 cards every time. The Overdress units can't overdress again from prison, making them effectively worthless once imprisoned. Draconic Overlord is a deck that is very tight on Soul Blast, Counterblast, and units. A little disruption in the form of imprisoning units absolutely slaughters this deck. You strain units like Dragon Knight Nahalem and Berserk Dragon, and more so than against other decks, you eat through your opponent's resources. Overlord has to discard a card and counterblast for its triple drive. You don't. Enough good news. Let's get on to your bad matchups. Most of the bad matchups outside of Orphis and Barra Magnus really aren't that bad. These matchups are mostly dependent on whether or not you can see cards like Bagumotor or 24-hour coverage to imprison outside of field. But let's talk specifically about the Orphis matchup. Orphis is a difficult matchup because of Seraph's inability to imprison tokens. Not only that, they can use cards such as Cardinal Nord Thumbarino to clear column off their board and plus from it. They apply early pressure to you and don't get punished significantly through imprisoning. This is because when a token is imprisoned, it just disappears or fizzles. You need to see alternative imprisoning cards, using strategies like Counterblast starving them before their turn 3. You do have a few advantages. They are usually discouraged from playing cards such as Alvadrid or Ekelpa until they have to. This gives you a bit of wiggle room to try to live so you can grind out the late game. Now, on to the worst matchup, Barra Magnus. This is an awful matchup because Barra Magnus decks consist of almost entirely on-place skills. These trigger when called from prison and let Barra Magnus effectively hit its goal of 15 in soul for free. This deck benefits from being imprisoned, never runs out of soul to get units back, and can rush you down with no counterplay. Alternative retiring cards don't help you here, and you're pretty much out of luck. My advice is to not retire cards outside of the few ones that aren't on place, such as Selfish Engraver or Crimson Ig Speller. Getting your opponent to show these cards is likely to be difficult, however. You can also retire order cards from drop against this deck, but it's not a consistent plan. The only time you can really freely imprison cards is once they have 15 in soul, but it becomes very difficult to survive very fast. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want more Vanguard content. Quick question, would you guys like to see premium content in the future? Please let us know in the comments below. See you next time.